When I witnessed the cleaning lady shielding my daughter, I was left heartbroken and unbelieving. I will never forget that day. It started like any other. The sun hung lazily in the sky, casting playful shadows around the room. But inside, it felt different. Tension buzzed in the air, electric and charged. My hands trembled, sweat clinging to my palms. The laughter of the children echoed outside. My heart ached, longing for the innocence of joy. Again, I glanced at my daughter, Ellie. Her tangled curls danced in the wind, her laughter bright and fearless. She was everything to me. Then, the world spun, and a twist of fate unraveled. Chaos erupted. A shrill scream pierced the air, slicing through the laughter like a knife. I turned just in time to see a dark figure, lurking among the bushes. Panic exploded in my chest. But then, from nowhere, the cleaning lady, Maria, appeared. She moved in a blur, shielding Ellie effortlessly with her body. My heart raced in disbelief, a tidal wave of emotion crashing around me. Maria's eyes were wide, fierce with a determination I had never seen. My breath caught in my throat, tight and strangled. I could barely move, frozen in shock as motherly instincts warred with terror. What was she protecting Ellie from? The crowd gasped. Whispers buzzed through the air like angry bees, uncertainty etched on every face. What's happening? I heard someone murmur. Is it dangerous? Questions darted around, but none felt loud enough to break the tension. Maria pushed Ellie behind her, the way a lioness guards her cub. I watched, helpless, my chest tight as fear washed over me. I glanced at Ellie's sweet face, the confusion etched on her features. It tore at my heart. Just then, a loud crash came from the bushes. The noise sent a jolt of pure adrenaline through me. I felt it, the raw, electric fear. What if it was something sinister? What if Maria wasn't enough? Stay back! Maria shouted, her voice strong despite the obvious danger. All I could do was whisper Ellie's name, a futile prayer desperately spilling from my lips. The world felt heavy, each heartbeat echoing in my ears like thunder, and then silence. The kind that wraps around you, thick and cloying. My chest tightened. I held my breath, searching for answers. Why was Maria here? What threat loomed behind those bushes? As I stepped forward, my legs shaking, a chilling thought gripped me. What if she was more than just a cleaning lady? What if she was hiding secrets I couldn't even begin to fathom? The sunlight poured through the trees, casting eerie shadows as Maria continued to shield Ellie, an unyielding barrier between innocence and chaos. Just who was she? Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. As the heavy silence hung in the air, I took a step closer, my heart pounding against my ribcage like a drum, desperate for clarity. I could see Ellie's wide eyes peering from behind Maria, the innocence of her little world suddenly shattered. Fear danced in those young eyes, and I wanted nothing more than to pull her back and shield her from whatever threat lingered just beyond those bushes. Another crash echoed, sharper this time, propelling my heart into a frantic sprint. Ellie! I croaked, the word barely making it past my lips. My voice felt thin and fragile, as if it could be broken by the very sound of dread washing over me. Maria turned slightly, her gaze locking onto mine, and something flickered in her expression, a mix of fierce protectiveness and unvoiced fear. For the first time, I noticed a scar running down her cheek, a jagged line that hummed with stories untold. What had she endured? What made her so resolute in this moment? Stay behind me, she urged Ellie, her voice a steady anchor in a storm of chaos. I wanted to scream at her to step away, to let me take my child. But there, in the space between breaths, a realization struck me: Maria was willing to sacrifice everything, even her own safety, to keep Ellie safe. As chaotic as this moment was, it illuminated a dark corner of my heart, where gratitude and admiration blossomed against despair. Suddenly, a burst of movement leapt from the bushes. A child, not much older than Ellie, stumbled into view, tears streaming down her dirt-streaked cheeks. Panic rippled through the crowd, and I felt my entire body freeze. Was she the source of the chaos? Had she caused the screams? Help! Help me, please! The girl cried, her voice raw and desperate. In an instant, new fears blossomed within me, dark and twisted. Had Maria put herself in danger for a child I did not know? Get back! Maria yelled again, her fierce eyes never leaving the girl as she shielded Ellie even more protectively. There was a primal instinct in her stance, as if she were defending her territory, and I felt a deep, gut-wrenching conflict brewing inside me. Was I supposed to trust this cleaning lady, my daughter's unlikely savior, or was she hiding her own truths? The crowd recoiled, murmurings of suspicion creeping into the air, but I focused solely on the child in front of me. "It's okay," I called out, my voice trembling. "We're here to help. Just tell us what happened." Looking back at Ellie, I saw her silently nod in agreement, a flicker of trust still shining within her. The sight was both comforting and horrifying. She should not have to trust a stranger, not today of all days. The young girl revealed that she'd been lost, running from something unknown, although she didn't clarify what that something was. As she stumbled forward, the weight of her fear was palpable, and I felt a tug of empathy in my chest. This wasn't just about Maria and Ellie anymore, it was about a little girl entangled within her own fears. That I glanced at Maria, who had taken a step back, eyeing the newcomer warily. There was a flicker of conflict in her features, and I could almost see the wheels turning in her head. Elizabeth, my darling, I thought, she couldn't bear witness to more suffering. The atmosphere pulsed with tension as every adult in the vicinity exchanged worried glances. I watched Mariah's expression deepen, shadows playing across her face, and I knew instinctively that there was more to her story. Something buried deep that tied her to this moment and possibly to the frightened girl. Just then, the air shifted. I felt it, an invisible line drawn between past and present, and a gut-churning thought seeped into my mind. The dark figure from earlier wasn't just a vague threat, it was a reminder of a looming danger. The presence felt familiar, yet sinister. Mariah's voice sliced through my racing thoughts, interrupting the spiraling vortex of uncertainty. "We need to get them to safety. Now." The insistence brushed against my heart, pulling me back to the urgent crisis at hand, but before I could respond, a chilling howl echoed from the trees, the kind of sound that claws at your soul. The crowd gasped, shifting nervously, and I felt Ellie shrink against Mariah's side. A new fear gripped my heart. What if this was just the beginning? My breath stalled. The screech echoed back, a haunting melody of chaos that seemed to circle around us, closing in. Suddenly, in an act of remarkable bravery, Maria took Ellie's hand, their fingers weaving together like braided threads of strength. And for a fleeting moment, I was reminded of hope. In this fractured world, moments like this shone brightly. But as the dark figure from before slipped back into view, a palpable dread filled the air, turning that hope sour. "Stay close," Maria commanded, but my breath caught in my throat as the figure stepped into the light. "Maria," it growled, voice low and edged with a warning. The world hinged on that moment, suspended in fear as our eyes locked. I could feel the weight of secrets hanging between us, a fragile thread connecting our destinies. But before the truth could reveal itself, everything plunged into despair, leaving a chilling question hovering in the air: what had come to claim us all? The howl leaving a cold imprint on my spine, I stood frozen, rooted to the ground as the figure emerged fully from the shadows. The dimming light played tricks on my mind, its features blurring into a disfigured amalgamation of fear and recognition. I wanted to yell out, to run toward my daughter and pull her into the embrace of safety, but a gut-wrenching reality held me captive. Maria was now the guardian, and Ellie was with her. The crowd recoiled further, whispering names laced with unease. "Damon! What does he want? The murmur washed over me like waves of panic, drowning my sense of reason. Damon's eyes locked onto Maria, a dark intensity that sent shivers through the air. You can't keep them from me, he said, each syllable dropping like stones into the churning sea of our fears. I'll have what belongs to me, stay behind me, Maria growled, each word dripping with the kind of protectiveness that only a mother could muster. I felt the edges of my heart fray at the sight. Was she truly a mother? Who was this woman fighting so vehemently for my daughter's safety while I stood helpless? Ellie's small hand trembled in Maria's grasp, and for a heartbeat, I saw the innocence of childhood poised against the jagged edges of adult conflict. Daddy, I'm scared. She whimpered, the sound piercing my soul. I wanted to scream, to break through the suffocating tension enveloping us and reassess my reality. Yet, fear paralyzed my tongue. Maria took a tentative step forward, keeping Ellie safely tucked behind her. You have no claim over her, she replied, her voice unwavering despite the quiver of her hands. Not anymore. Damon's eyes flickered with a dangerous knowingness. You're more tangled in this than you realize. I know your past, Maria. You can't shield them forever. That a terrifying revelation settled into the pit of my stomach. Whatever had bound the two of them was deeply rooted. Even as apologies swirled in my heart for the unknown truths, another thought struck me. How had Maria come to know my daughter's presence? And why had she decided to stand in front of that fearsome figure, protecting Ellie at her own peril? The question spiraled, a tangled mess of anger and doubt. Before I could process it further, a scream erupted from the back of the crowd. It was the lost girl, her raw panic infusing the air with urgency. He's coming! She cried, pointing into the darkened thicket where shadows danced like phantoms. The atmosphere thickened, constricting around us as I suddenly felt submerged in dread. How could everything dissolve so quickly? The clarity from before felt brazenly naive. The unexpected twist sent shockwaves through me as realization dug in deeper. This was not merely a struggle for dominance, this was a fight for lives. Run! Someone shouted, breaking the spell. Panic erupted as the crowd began to scatter in all directions, but I remained, unwilling to abandon the fragile bonds that kept me tethered to the torrent of emotion unraveling in front of me. Ellie. My heart cried out, adrenaline flooding my veins. Come to me. But as I reached for her, it was Maria's face I met. Her determination infused me with strength, even as the shadows threatened to envelop my daughter. She stood resolute, the weight of my desperation urging her onward. Trust me, Ellie. We need to follow Maria. I implored, but my words hung like leaves caught in the storm, drifting apart before they could ignite a sense of direction. Damon advanced, and as he did, Maria stepped forward, her fierce spirit consolidating in a protective barrier against the unraveling chaos. We're not afraid of you, Damon. Leave us be. She declared, her voice echoing, surprising everyone, including myself, but then, drawn back into the maelstrom of uncertainty, I wondered about the secret she harbored. Was she truly fighting for Ellie? Or did Damon know something I did not, something that could shatter the fragile safety we had built in this moment? The wind howled again, dark clouds gathering overhead like a storm foreshadowing greater struggles to come. The lost girl released a choked sob. And without even knowing why, we all turned toward her, drawn in by her shared fear. Please, I think I know who he is, she stammered, each word pulling tight the string of terror binding us. He's not just a man. He's part of a group. They're after me, after her, all of us. Before I could comprehend the implications of her statement, a movement from the trees snapped my attention. From the darkness, figures emerged like shadows, and suddenly, the air thickened with the weight of confusion and fear, casting an eerily transformative spell over us all, and just like that, the warmth of hope that had cast its glow on Maria's fierce determination flared only to be consumed in the darkness, leaving a haunting question echoing through the fragmented pieces of my heart. What were we truly up against? And how deeply intertwined were our fates destined to become? The wind's cold gusts felt more like an omen than a breeze. As shadows crept closer, the figures from the trees transformed from mere silhouettes into harbingers of fear, each step revealing eyes glinting with malicious intent. I felt the weight of Elena's tiny hand slip away from Mariah's grasp as instinct took hold. "No!" I shouted, lunging forward just as she cried out in shock, her eyes wide with terror, "Stay close." Mariah's shout rang clear, cutting through the tumult like a beacon, and my body reacted, instinctively moving toward her. I could see the girl from before still trembling at the fringes of the chaos, her face frozen in an expression of despair. My thoughts raced. What did she mean? Who were these people? Damon stood tall, his presence imposing. "You don't understand," he said, his voice icy yet almost caring, filled with an unsettling affection. "I'm not here to harm her, I am here to take back what is rightfully mine." "What nonsense is this?" Maria shot back, anger igniting her courage. "It's not your right. She's a child, what do you know about being a parent?" He retorted, and for a fleeting second, I saw a flicker of doubt pass through Mariah's eyes, a split second where I wondered if her past birth's secrets darker than we'd imagined. The trees swayed above us, whispering secrets of the night, an echo of lost hope swirling through the air. "Damon." A new voice pierced through the gathering darkness. A woman stepped into view, her face fierce and resolute. "We don't have time for this. The other group is coming, and we need to get everyone to safety." Fear trickled through my veins like ice water. Who was she? Why were these people suddenly allied? My heart thudded as I searched for Danny, only to find her staring at the woman with wide, trusting eyes. "You promised," she whispered in hesitance, her voice almost lost among the whispers of the onlookers. "That I made once last desperate attempt, forging my way closer to Ellie to shield her in my embrace when I caught Maria's gaze." "What is going on? Who are they? What do they want with Ellie?" I felt like my very essence unraveling, and yet Maria remained unfazed by my turmoil. Damon's lips curled into a smirk. "You really don't know, do you? How intertwined your fates are. The guardian, the lost child," he sneered, eyes shifting toward Maria, "and you, father years in the making, you are all part of a greater plan." The weight of his twisted truth crushed over us, wrapping itself around my heart like a vice. A greater plan? My mind reeled. Just as I was about to confront him, the lost girl stepped forward again, her voice stronger now. "They want to take her back. She's part of something bigger than us. She belongs to a world we can't see." "World?" I croaked, disbelief weaving its way through every word. I felt hollowed out, a shell trapped in an unfathomable reality. "The veil," the woman interrupted, her voice sharp and penetrating with urgency. "They plan to use Ellie to regain control, a power shift that will threaten our very existence. We can't let them take her." Hope flickered, dim and distant amidst the chaos. I searched Maria's expression. Those fierce eyes still held a gleam of protection, even with the tide of danger rising around us. "You have to trust her," she seemed to urge me silently, but doubt gripped my throat hard. "What if she's part of their plan?" I gasped, fear painting wild strokes across my chest. "What if she, too, is a pawn?" "They are all pawns," Damon chuckled darkly, raising his arms mockingly. "That's how this dance of shadows goes. But Ellie, she's not like the others. She's special." Maria took a defiant step forward, the light around her seeming to spark. "You don't have a hold over us," she declared, an ember of resistance igniting between her and Damon. The figures in the thicket shifted, threatening to close in, and the panic sent ripples through the crowd. I turned to Ellie, the little girl trembling in the shadows. "Stay right behind me," I instructed firmly, my body a shield, but she edged closer to Maria. In that moment, every anxiety surged anew, twisting and knotting in my chest. I realized Ellie thrived not only in my protection but now in the fierce bond growing with the woman who had taken a stand, who was fighting for her regardless of the chaos. Suddenly, a flash of light erupted from the trees, the unmistakable flash of a weapon. "Run!" the anonymous woman screamed as chaos erupted, the figures rushing forward like waves crashing against the shore. "We need to go now," my mind raced. Would this be the moment we were shattered apart? With urgency piercing through my veins, I reached for Ellie, panic raging within me, and she finally turned to me with wide, innocent eyes, a single tear trailing down her cheek. Daddy?" She looked to me, uncertain about her next move, but just as I stretched my arms toward her, I caught a glimpse of something moving behind Ellie. Damon lunged forward, his eyes wild with fervor, aiming for where Maria stood. In an instant, the world narrowed down to a single moment, the pulsing heartbeat, the terrified gasp escaping Ellie's lips, and a collective breath of fear held over the crowd, and then, amidst the chaos, everything froze. A horrific silence dropped, the air heavy with anticipation, and I was left standing there, raw and exposed, as two realities hung in the balance: fight or flight, parent or protector. "Ellie!" I shouted, desperation clawing at my throat as the flickering wisps of hope threatened to flicker out entirely. But she, in a moment of pure intuition, darted sideways, caught between two worlds, too fatigued, a child on the edge of the abyss, and as I was thrust into the darkness once more, the shadow of betrayal lurking at every turn, the final revelation surged before me: was this indeed the end, or the beginning of an unimaginable journey that would test our very souls? I stood frozen, heart pounding, as the chaos erupted around me. Time itself felt suspended in the thick air, the tension palpable enough to cut. Ellie had spun away, her innocent form silhouetted against the shadows, a beacon of vulnerability. Just as I opened my mouth to call her back, the world reconvened with a gasp, and reality crashed down in an overwhelming swell of emotion. Maria lunged, body colliding with Damon in an attempt to shield the girl she had vowed to protect. The sounds of struggle, the grunts, the breathy curses from both sides filled my ears like the chorus of a nightmare. In that split second, I caught sight of the woman, the fierce protector who had stepped in moments ago. She struck out with unyielding force, driving momentum against the figures arising from the tree line. "Come on, Ellie. This way!" she shouted, waving her arms wildly, drawing Ellie's attention like a moth to a flame while shouting instructions others might not be willing to follow. I jerked forward, instincts propelling my body into motion as I sprinted toward my daughter, but my heart wrenched when I saw Ellie's eyes dart back toward Maria, her small frame conflicted. "Daddy!" she cried softly, fear shrouding her voice, tethering her to both of us as if she were split into two beings, each heart longing for its anchor. A powerful rush of guilt gripped me. Had I, in trying to protect her, unintentionally made her hesitate? "Don't leave her, Maria!" I yelled, the words tumbling out like a desperate prayer for survival. I noticed how she struggled against Damon's powerful grasp while two others advanced on our position, shadows writhing like serpents ready to strike. But even in the chaos, something extraordinary happened. Fighting against all odds, Damon lost his footing, Maria using a blend of calculated resolve and fierceness to push him aside. My heart swelled with fleeting pride before it plummeted in the face of impending doom as his crew closed in behind. The woman turned, an impassioned expression crossing her face. "We have to get her. Now." Ellie shifted, testament to a child's intuition. She could sense the fear, the raw emotion spiraling around her like a tempest. The moment before the currents of the unknown yanked our destinies away from safety. Tentatively, she took a step toward me. I could see it clearly, the deep struggle within her, the bond she felt toward both of us, vying against our chaotic surroundings. "Ellie. Come on." The woman's voice broke the blockage, igniting a flicker of hope. Those fiery eyes brimmed with both understanding and urgency, and Ellie hesitated only a beat longer before darting towards her. My heart shattered as I watched the inevitable. She was drawn in by the call of instinct and the longing for safety. I was losing her again to forces beyond comprehension. "No. Ellie." Just as I reached out, fingers brushing the cool air, time folded again, capturing the magical essence of our surroundings. The trees whispered doubts, the night held its breath. I could feel the heart-wrenching pull of separation calling out, that terrible understanding anchoring itself deeper into my bones, but before Ellie could reach the woman's side, there was a sound cracking like thunder. A blast echoed into the night, forcing all present to freeze in place. The ground vibrated beneath us as the blast radiated from behind the trees, taking shape in the form of a figure veiled in darkness. Amidst the chaos, a figure emerged, silhouetted against the smoldering remnants of the event, catching everyone off guard. An imposing presence cloaked in shadows stepped forward, and a murmur rippled through the crowd like a pulse. It was almost ethereal, the chill of recognition cutting across my heart. "Stop right there. The voice reverberated, full of authority, each syllable laced with bitterness, a voice I believed I would never hear again. Tom, I breathed, a name, a memory, rising from the ashes of my past, and in that moment, time shattered once more. The image of a fatherhood stolen, betrayal and confusion woven into the air like an insurmountable tapestry of anguish, and just as the realization surged through me, Ellie stood suspended, caught between loyalty and betrayal, a visceral struggle etched across her innocent face. I wanted to sweep her into my arms, to shield her from the wreckage of my past. The urgency thickened with the scent of fear and uncertainty, but now that needed to hold, needed to release but couldn't. What did Tom want? What had he become? Get out of my way! Damon hissed, fury igniting the air like gasoline, but Tom raised an arm, an unexpected defiance that sent tremors of confusion through our ranks. Not this time. His voice pierced through the darkness like a blade, stiffening the perception of reality around us. She's under my protection now. My heart hung in the balance, suspended in the absurdity of that moment, the storm swirling closer. Would this revelation shatter everything once more? Would this be our final battle, the climax of an emotion-laden journey rife with sacrifice and confusion? All I could do was stand stunned, caught between two futures, haunted by shadows of the past, waiting for fate to decide where we would land. The world felt as if it had shifted on its axis, and I teetered on the brink of a chasm created by revelations I couldn't quite grasp. Tommy, old friend, the one who had taught me how to embrace fatherhood, how to feel joy in its simplest forms, now stood before me, cloaked in enigma. The very air hummed with uncertainty, and energy crackled, not from the battle that still raged around us, but from the quiet storm of thoughts colliding inside. That Ellie's eyes darted between me and Tom, yearning for a parental beacon that had suddenly morphed into something unfathomable. I could see that she needed the anchor of certainty amidst the chaos, and my heart shattered watching that child, innocent, beautiful, radiating vulnerability, caught in a web of complex loyalties. Ellie! The desperation in my voice reached for her, lingering in the space where my love and fear converged. But for a moment, time suspended yet again. Tom's fierce stance against Damon, who seethed with anger, momentarily stilled the chaos around me. The world drew breath, collectively waiting like a stalled engine caught in the midst of an impending storm. Get back! Damon growled, eyes ablaze with rage. No one's protecting her, Tom. She belongs to me, Damon, Tom said, low and steady, as if he were trying to quell the flame rather than fan it further. She belongs to herself. And you're here to ruin that. You don't have the right. The rasp of anger wove through the air, igniting flickers of tension. I could see the raw confusion flashing in Ellie's wide eyes, a mirror of my own, as she clung to that sliver of hope, hoping Tom truly meant what he said. My heart raced, thundering in my chest, desperate to propel me across the chasm of misunderstanding. Why, Tom? I called out, each word dotted with betrayal and relief. You left. Was it for this? I did what I had to do to survive this hell, Ash. I never wanted to hurt you, but things changed. I changed, he replied, his expression softening, even while still fierce. You don't know the things I've seen, what I've done. I am her protector now, and perhaps the only chance she has. In that moment, the clouds of history shifted. Tom had witnessed pieces of the world I had tried to shield myself and Ellie from, a realization strangling my heart as the truth roared to life. I had no choice but to steel my resolve. What do you really want? I said quietly, trying to grasp the tumultuous emotions that pounded like war drums between us. Is this genuine concern or something darker? What did you do to survive? The air throbbed with silence as everything solidified in a moment of clarity, that gnawing feeling that perhaps I was standing on the edge of a precarious truth, one that could change the course of our lives forever. You've transformed from friend to foe, to protector, I pressed, leaning in with a fierce intensity. What do you want from Ellie? From us, however, before Tom could respond, the snap of a branch shattered the momentary respite. The figures from the tree line were moving once more, swirling through the fog like predators drawn to weakness. Eyes turned sharply toward them, and the hair on my neck prickled with foreboding. Move! Maria shouted, her fierce determination slicing through the air. Time once more collapsed under the weight of chaos. With a final, piercing glance exchanged between use and echo of everything that had been and everything that might still be, Tom advanced, positioning himself as a human barrier between Ellie and the threat that lurked just beyond our line of sight. The sincerity of his intentions remained cloaked in shadow, and whether or not I could trust him remained the greatest challenge ahead. Would he turn on us? Would he betray us to a darker faction of his world? Go with him, Ellie, whispered Maria through gritted teeth, as she bravely positioned herself by Tom's side, a warrior defending what she loved. My heart twisted again, torn in two by instinctive fears. No! I shouted, the words spilling out in a terrified rush, the fabric of my sanity threatening to pull apart at the seams. Trust me, Tom urged, but the sincerity in his eyes wavered, revealing the phantoms that darted behind his gaze, shadows of a past laced with hardship and betrayal. Everything spiraled. And suddenly, as the shadows surged forward, the instinct to push away both Tom and the dangers lurking beneath the surface surged to life within me. I grasped for Ellie, desperate to shield her from this storm, only to have my fingers close in on emptiness. I could feel the terrifying magnitude of the moment settling around us, the last threads of connection slipping through my grasp. Ellie! My voice echoed, drawn tight, as an unseen force pulled us all deeper into a chasm of uncertainty. Would I lose her again, in another moment that demanded sacrifice? Or was this the moment where I had to let go to protect her? And as the darkness approached, I felt a part of my soul shatter, the space between us fracturing further, leaving me teetering on the edge where hope danced precariously with despair. What would come next? The answer remained veiled, the winds of fate stirring with an intensity that promised more than I was prepared for. The shadows grew closer, looming over us as I struggled to breathe through the turmoil that slapped against the walls of my chest. Tom stood firm, his silhouette now a mask of courage despite the uncertainty that mired our connection. Ellie's eyes darted toward me, desperate for reassurance, as though she was caught in a tempest, wrestling between the love she felt for her father and the hesitations that stemmed from Tom's complex presence. Elena, Mariah's voice emerged around the chaos, determined yet tender, you have to trust him. We must move, now. The urgency in her tone pressed against my heart like a vice, wrenching it in two. I could feel the weight of each breath I took, the decision loomed like a guillotine. If I moved, if I let them go, would I lose her forever or save her from a fate worse than uncertainty? I found myself torn at the core of who I was. The desire to shield Ellie from the dangers that hounded us was overpowering, yet the very hand I reached out with trembled at the thought of what hiding from the truth might mean. The reality of our lives had shifted once again, spiraling beyond the limits of my control. Ellie, come here, I pleaded, hoping to anchor her in the ruins of our reality. I could see her small form trembling, confusion battling against instinct, a child caught in a clash of loyalties, far scarier than any darkened figure approaching through the trees. But in that panic-fueled heartbeat, I noticed something peculiar. Mariah's protective stance at Tom's side flickered with a strength I hadn't anticipated, an unexpected resolve. She wasn't just shielding my daughter, she was stepping into the fray like a phoenix rising in a state of vivid defiance, a wildness igniting into the soft familiarity I had always known. Her brave soul shone like a beacon, calling for unity, for action amidst the chaos that throbbed like a heartbeat in the background. Please, Ellie. I called again, desperation fueling each syllable as the darkness loomed closer. Do you trust me? Her gaze, swirling with conflicting emotions, met mine. But Dad, the way she hesitated spoke of the meltdown occurring within her, a tempest not too different from the one raging around us. Suddenly, a figure burst through the fog, darting straight toward us. Before I could process what was happening, a woman's lithe form rushed past Tom, heading straight for Ellie. It was the cleaning lady, Fabiola, the one who had appeared on the fringe of our lives, always watching, always present. She had often been a source of kindness, her gentle presence had anchored my days without me truly realizing it until that moment. Ellie. Fabiola shouted, arms outstretched as she swooped toward my daughter, fierce like a lioness. In that instant, something shifted. Fabiola shielded Ellie, her body becoming a barrier, radiating strength and warmth that eclipsed the chaos around us. My heart cracked open, a stirring of confusion and unexpected relief colliding within me. From a distance, it looked something akin to the pure love that a mother might offer a fierce protector forged from instinct, built from an unyielding foundation of empathy and resilience. Frozen for a heartbeat, I was overwhelmed by the realization that even amidst my turmoil, this world was not devoid of kindness. Yet, that realization was tangled with fear. Who was this woman, and why did she suddenly stand among our storm, confronting the threats emerging from the shadows? Get Ellie out of here, Fabiola commanded, pushing my daughter gently but insistently toward Tom and Maria. Now. Ellie looked up at me, a mixture of fear and trust threading through her gaze. The shadows pulled ever closer as the darkness snaked around the edges of the Clearinga confluence of menacing silhouettes undulating like a wave hungry to consume everything in its path. The moment stretched, the energy between us taut and electric. Douc. Tom's voice cracked through the air, resonating with urgency. There are things out here far more dangerous than I could ever be. We have to go before they see us. My heart recoiled, a war of emotions clawed at me. Trust battles with love. I couldn't stay rooted in the fear of the moment, but how could I risk losing her again? Ellie! I shouted, a plea bursting forth. Remember our promise? We would never leave each other. Not again. As she teetered on the edge of decision, that sweet innocence rooted deep in her heart swayed. She looked at Fabiola, an unexpected gentle force offering refuge, and her hesitation lingered like smoke between us. But then, a flicker of determination sparked within her, and suddenly, she turned toward Tom. I trust you, she whispered, voice unwavering even as the shadows advanced. A cacophony of fear and disbelief erupted within me, the knowledge that I had just been unseated pulled from underneath my very foundations. Ellie! I screamed, panic lacing my heart as I felt the ground shift beneath my feet. Time again distorted, and in that instant, as Fabiola tightened her grip on my daughter, everything fell into disarray. I was helpless, watching as they surged forward, threading into the encroaching darkness, the glimmer of hope stark against the looming dread. And as I struggled against the tide of emotions rising within me, a chilling realization struck my heart clean through the haze of fear. If I lost Ellie now, I might also be forfeiting every shred of light I had ever held close in this anguished journey. And as I stood paralyzed on the line of uncertainty, the shadows advanced, setting the stage for a harrowing confrontation, the truth lurking just beyond the periphery, veiled in mirage and despair. Would I have the strength to follow, to embrace what loss might mean? I could only brace for the impact as the winds of fate howled at my back, swirling with anticipation and terror, teetering on the fragile edge of hope and heartbreak. The darkness was no longer just a sinister presence, it had arms, claws reaching hungrily towards us, and a chilling realization settled upon my shoulders like a leaden shroud. As Fabiola pulled Ellie away, my instincts screamed for me to chase after them, to fight through the shadows that now threatened to engulf us all. Yet, a paralyzing fear held me in place. The specter of abandonment loomed large, whispering venomous lies about what I had done. Had I failed her again, in that split moment, the cries of my daughter were drowned out by the thunderous beat of my heart, echoing louder than the encroaching darkness. Don't let them take you! I shouted, every fiber of my being straining against the rising tide of despair, but Fabiola held Ellie tightly, her fierce gaze locked onto the shadows, ready to face whatever monstrosity emerged. I felt my breath catch. How could a mere cleaning lady, a quiet presence in a disorienting world, become the bastion of hope I had searched so desperately for? Mom, come with us. Ellie's voice broke through the static that enveloped my mind. Unable to shake the shackles of my fear, I remained rooted to the spot, caught between the unyielding weight of my own limitations and the instinctive yearning to leap into the fray alongside her. Go. Now. Fabiola urged, and I could see her resolve. A lioness shielding her cub, igniting something deep within me. My breath hitched as I wrestled against the swell of unhelpful thoughts. What if I was too late? What if they vanished into the shadows, and I never saw Ellie's face again? But the terror of losing her hastened my pulse, fueling a glimmer of courage. I turned toward Maria, who still stood with Tom, each of their faces shadowed by uncertainty. The trio seemed the only sliver of warmth left against the cold anticipation of despair. Did I there a plan? I rasped, trying to bring some sanity into this chaos. I needed clarity, a beacon to hold onto amid the turbulent seas swirling around us. That we need to circle around, away from where they're converging, Tom replied, his voice steady but taut with urgency. Fabiola knows these grounds better than we do. We can't waste time. He met my frantic gaze, and for a fleeting moment, there was an unspoken understanding, a lifeline snaking through the unknown webs of our past. Despite every jolt of unresolved history that tethered us together, we had to find a way to work as one. Just as I began to move toward the direction they had gone, I noticed the trees around us sway ominously, the winds picking up, as if exhaling a monstrous breath. With every step, the urgency surged within me. I wouldn't lose Ellie a second time. Fabiola maneuvered deftly, guiding Ellie between tangled roots and shadows, her back still turned against whatever lurked behind us. Despite the fear clawing at the base of my spine, I felt a swell of gratitude for her bravery, a reminder that kindness often flourished in the most unexpected forms. The branches overhead whispered secrets, the rustling leaves a hidden language of hope among the chaos. A soft light began to pierce through the shroud of darkness, illuminating our path, beckoning us forward. My heart beat in tandem with this fragile luminescence. Just as we inched closer to the glimmer, a deafening roar erupted from the shadows, freezing me in place once more. My lungs tightened, the air thick with the stench of dread and adrenaline. The creature emerging from the dark was unlike any nightmare I had faced, the embodiment of fear and despair, and it bore down on us with a singular intent. Run! Tom shouted, and the urgency in his voice snapped me from my stupor. We couldn't stall now. Hope flickered like an errant flame in the pit of my chest, urging me to act. Shield my daughter from the darkness on the cusp of seizing everything from us again. I rushed forward, pushing through the sharp branches and foliage, taking deliberate strides toward Fabiola and Ellie, who had found refuge among the distance. Just as I was nearing them, a chilling realization broke over me like ice. What if my rescue turned into a snare? What if fleeing into the light only guided us deeper into peril? I swallowed hard, a cold knot forming in my throat as I feared for Ellie's newfound beacon of protection, for the precarious hope that now existed between the four of us. Would they truly make it? The sludging dread of uncertainty loomed but was softened by the power of unexpected allyship, yet my thoughts poured over with darkness as I finally glimpsed the creature's eyes. They glowed with a malicious intelligence that rippled through the spaces between us, and I felt an icy tendril encircle my heart. The understanding hit me with devastating clarity. It wasn't just a monstrous physical threat we faced. The very shadows that ran the grounds took a toll, much deeper, strengthening bonds even as they threatened to sever them. As we charged forward, the shadows clawed at our feet, whispering dark claims that echoed my deepest fears. Would I protect Ellie? Could I even protect myself? With every pulse of that relentless entity behind us, I felt the thin film of my courage waver, teetering between destruction and the slivers of light offered through my beloved allies. And then Ellie's terrified voice shattered through my thoughts. Mom! But my body was paralyzed, caught in a vice-like grip of fear as I turned back, my heart racing, and there she stood against the shadows, a candle flickering amidst the tempest, caught between Fabiola and the encroaching terror. Ellie! I screamed, pain lacing my voice, knowing that whatever happened next, the resolve to protect her had been forged anew. Yet the dawning truth hung heavy. No protection was guaranteed in a world twisted by fear. I was adrift, balancing between the love I felt for my daughter and the specter of loss that lingered insidiously, thrumming steadily in the shadows. The fallen branches snapped, and the shadows surged ahead, leaving us to grapple with a truth I could only now face. We were bound together in this war of darkness, and the line between savior and pawn would soon dissolve in the emotional crucible that awaited us. Would we find the strength to reclaim our story, or was this merely the beginning of our unraveling? As the creature loomed closer, its grotesque form twisting with unnatural grace, I felt the heat of fear wash over me. It was as if the very air surrounding us had turned to ice, pressing against my chest. I could see Ellie's innocent face, distorted by terror, her wide eyes searching for solace as she stood with Fabiola, the relentless darkness closing in. Stay together! I shouted, adrenaline surging through my veins, urging my legs to move, to protect, to fight. But every step felt like running through molasses, the shadows pulling me down, whispering doubts that gnawed at my resolve. I glanced at Maria and Tom, desperate for that shared sense of purpose that had ignited in me moments before. Would they follow, or were we destined to be consumed one by one? Mom, please. Ellie's voice cracked, slicing through the fog of my growing panic. The sound of her fear snapped something deep within me, a tether grounding me to her urgent need. I steeled myself, wrestling against the terror that threatened to paralyze me. I couldn't let her down, not again. Not when she needed me the most. Keep moving. Fabiola yelled as she shielded Ellie, putting herself between my daughter and the writhing mass of shadows arching toward them. In that instant, my heart surged with a swell of gratitude for the woman who had stepped beyond her own fears to protect my child. I could see the warmth of her spirit shining even amid the encroaching darkness. Then, with a primal roar, the creature lunged, its form shifting like shadows merging together, and I felt something inside me fracture. I couldn't just stand by, I had to act. I sprinted toward them, pulling all my strength into every stride, feeling the grip of fear loosening its hold as hope intertwined with the fierce love I held for my daughter. Get behind me. I urged Fabiola, who cast a quick glance back at me, a mixture of trust and alarm in her eyes. Our gazes locked for a brief moment, and I could see the determination mirrored within her. We were united in purpose, warriors against an unseen threat. As I reached the two of them, I felt the creature's presence suffocating around us, the air crackling with tension as its claws scratched against the earth, eager for flesh. My heart raced. I had always wanted to be the protector, and now I was faced with an ever-looming truth that could unravel at any moment. Come on. We have to go. I urged, and with that command, Fabiola and Ellie broke into motion, darting toward a partly cleared path ahead, my fear intermingling with a fragile thread of hope. But as we moved, the shadows shifted, swirling to block any retreat, their edges sharp as they beckoned to my darkest fears of failure, fear of loss, fear of losing the twinkling light of my daughter's laughter forever. Ahead, Tom and Maria carved a path through the underbrush, their silhouettes momentarily illuminated by pockets of muted light breaking through the canopy. We need to drive it back. Tom shouted, desperation clawing at his voice. Find the source of the light. What if we can't? Maria countered, her breathless panic palpable. Then we make our stand, Tom replied, his face set in grim determination. His resolve fed into mine, but uncertainty pulsed through my veins like poison. What if we failed? In that moment of doubt, an intense flash of brilliance enveloped a nearby thicket. It radiated an ethereal glow that beckoned to me, an unexpected sanctuary amid the suffocating gloom. There! I exclaimed, pointing toward it. The light, but as the shadows writhed and expanded, lashing out, an eerie laugh echoed from the darkness, low and menacing, wrapping around us like chains, binding us in place. You think you can escape? It taunted, its voice saturated with malice, drifting closer. You are all mine now. Panic surged in my chest, threatening to swallow me whole. Fabiola's grip tightened around Ellie's hand as we rushed toward the light, the air thickening with dread, each step weighed down by the creature's haunting words. Just as we reached the shimmering space where the light was brightest, the shadows surged forward like a tidal wave, and the anomaly in the air shimmered dangerously. It flickered in response to our presence but didn't promise safety. The once inviting glow twisted into a blinding flash, an angry reminder that hope was fickle. In a sudden, violent movement, the creature lunged at us, and Fabiola pushed Ellie further into the light, but I felt something catch my leg, an unseen force firming its grip, pulling me away. No! I screamed, as the moment stretched painfully, my heart clenching in my chest at the sight of Fabiola and my daughter moving further away, and in that shattering moment, something within me snapped, an instinct igniting. I screamed not just from fear but from the depth of my love, pouring all of it into my voice as I fought against the pull. You won't have her. I won't let you. The shadows hesitated, recoiling slightly, and then, shockingly, it seemed as if the darkness itself whispered back, why do you think you can protect her? You've already failed her once. A cruel twist of reality wrapped around my heart as the creature's words revealed an irrevocable truth. I staggered, momentarily shaken, as visions of all my failures washed over me, heavy with the weight of lost time and missed moments. Could I truly face such a monstrous reflection of my own inadequacies? Yet just behind that despair, a spark of defiance ignited deeper within. Fabiola turned back to me, her fierce gaze igniting a flicker of determination within my chest once more. "We're in this together," she called out, holding her hand out toward me, a beacon amid the chaos. That unexpected kindness broke through my whirlwind of fear, lighting the embers of my strength. As our eyes locked, I gathered the final vestiges of my resolve. "Together!" I shouted, gripping Ellie's hand tighter within mine, feeling Fabiola's fervent spirit entwine with us, pulling me toward the edge of hope. But before we could fully reach the light, the creature growled, and its eyes glinted with a sinister glee. "You think this is a game?" it hissed, the ground trembling beneath us as vines of shadow snaked upward, pushing against our legs with a relentless force. "This is only the beginning." The weight of its promise hung heavy, an ominous proclamation that kicked the air from my lungs. My heart raced, knowing that we were still far from safety, still caught in a perilous dance between light and darkness. With Fabiola on one side and Ellie on the other, we were poised on the brink of a new challenge, and as the shadows writhed and screamed, we clung desperately to each other, united and defiant. But just as the light enveloped us, a final truth rang out in my heart. A revelation lurked in this moment, a revelation that threatened to turn everything I knew inside out. What awaited us within that glowing embrace? We dared to push forward, but what awaited on the other side might change everything. The moment came like a tidal wave crashing against the fragile shore of my heart. As we darted into the brilliance of the light, I felt Ellie's hand slipping from my grasp, the warmth of her small fingers vanishing like morning mist. Fear struck anew, sharp and debilitating. The world spiraled around me, vibrant colors blending into hues of despair. "Ellie!" My voice erupted, raw and desperate, reverberating against the overwhelming light. But as I reached forward, the glow morphed, twisting into an ethereal veil that flickered restlessly, blurring the lines of reality. My heart thudded violently, each beat echoing the multitude of unspoken fears curling at the edges of my thoughts. The shadows writhed behind us, growing ever closer, hungry for despair. The creature's laugh echoed, a chilling wind that filled the air with dread. "You'll regret this decision. None of you can escape your fate." Fabiola hesitated, uncertainty crossing her face as she pulled Ellie closer. "Trust us, Ellie. We cannot let it take you." Just as she spoke, something shifted, a gateway before us flickered with life, drawing us toward its pulsing core, a promise of safety nestled in the chaos. "Come on!" Tom yelled from behind us, his voice a rallying cry. "We have to break through." With every ounce of strength, I surged forward, grasping for Ellie, my mind racing to grasp the fragility of the moment, the shifting dimensions that threatened to consume our bond. Desperation propelled me through the surreal radiance, and my heart screamed in defiance. No more separation, no more shadows. Then, in the dizzying swirl of uncertainty, I caught a fleeting glimpse of her Ellie, her cherubic face illuminated with hope tinged by fear, a beacon against the encroaching darkness. I lunged, stretching my arms wide open, heart roaring with determination. "We're in this together." At that moment, everything cascaded into clarity. As I flared my arms, everything seemed to converge, the creature's growl piercing the depths of impending doom, the shadows binding us as I pushed against them with fierce energy. And in a burst of brilliance, the ethereal light engulfed us, wrapping around our forms, sparking against the tendrils of darkness as it momentarily froze, reeling back with surprise and rage. An otherworldly presence surged within the light, lifting me higher, infusing me with warmth and boundless love, illuminating my resolve. I could feel the connections between us, the love binding me, Fabiola's unwavering courage dancing alongside Tom and Mariah's determination. Each heartbeat resonated with promise, wrapping us together in a cocoon of undeniable resolve. "Together!" I shouted, and I felt its unity sweeping through us, pulling us aloft as the shadows recoiled. I grabbed Ellie's small hands, eyes locked into hers, the bond between us stronger than the crushing weight of darkness. But just as hope ignited, a haunting howl erupted from the darkness, dissonant with fury. "You cannot escape!" The creature lunged, vast and monstrous, twisting shadows threatening to consume us again. Time fractaled, I could feel its claws itching closer, and just when I thought we might break free, the grim reality settled over my heart. A ghastly thrum of confusion melded with hope. Ellie. The pure terror in Fabiola's voice snapped me back as I pulled her close, anchoring my daughter against my chest. Hold on tight. I bellowed, a desperate plea wrapped in raw determination, and in that instantiation of love, we surged forward, the light pulsed brilliantly at the forefront, a doorway to a new reality shimmering with brave new beginnings. I felt Ellie squeeze my hand fiercely, and within that simple sort of trust, I understood I would go to the ends of the earth for her. Then, transiently, as if grasping the very fabric of our lives, everything collided. The light exploded, casting all shadows away like wisps of smoke in a fierce wind, and the creature faltered, torn like paper against the raging blaze of determination. With one final leap, a surge of energy enveloped us, and the world around shattered, giving way to the serenity of a world rebuilt from love. Fabiola stood resolute beside us, bright and unwavering. Ellie's eyes shone with innocence, her youthful spirit reigniting hope anew. Outside the veil of shifting shadows, we emerged onto solid ground, a sunlit meadow stretching out before us, radiating warmth and life once more. The beauty brushed away the remnants of fear in my heart, and with an odd breath, I let go of the chaos prepared to drown us. That we did it. Ellie squealed, her laugh lightening through the lingering fears that had once gripped my heart. And as I turned to answer, I caught sight of Maria and Tom stepping into the light beside us, a sense of shared victory surrounding us. They had forged a path against insurmountable odds. A moment crystallized between us, the unity swift but unparalleled. It was a fusion of our struggles and emotional embrace painted in shades of courage as we found each other amidst the rise of adversities. I watched Ellie's eyes shimmer in the sunlight, laughter spilling into the air oblivious of the shadows that had once threatened to engulf us, each giggle like a sweet anthem of resilience, our bond tested but never broken. That I love you, I whispered, cupping Ellie's face, feeling the warmth of her innocence flood over me. You are my everything. That I. In that moment, the past wove into the present, threading golden lessons and unbreakable ties through our hearts, each embrace softening the edges of pain. Everything I had fought for converged in that ephemeral instant. The darkness finally fled, and the truth settled tenderly upon us. Love endures, and the soul's longing for connection never truly fades. As we turned to face a new day, I felt the winds of change whisper sweet promises. Yes, they were still there, lurking, but we had come together united in purpose, wrapped in love, faced against whatever challenges lay ahead. And as I took Ellie's hand, casting one last glance back at the fading shadows, I allowed hope to fill my heart completely. Together forever, I affirmed, feeling the warmth of that tender promise unfold into eternity. With the first rays of dawn piercing the horizon, it hit me. Some journeys lead us through shadows, but they often illuminate the truest parts of our beings, reminding us that love's light can conquer even the darkest corners of existence. That I. In that truth, with Ellie at my side and hope nestled like treasure in my heart, we took the first step toward an endless horizon together.